Hey everyone, happy May. Today we're going to be setting my May TBR. You might notice that we have a little bit of a different background. We have officially moved into our new home and I kind of switched up where I was keeping my books. I didn't really vibe with my previous bookcase. It was so hard to like stand books up. It actually wasn't that tall. So some of like my taller books couldn't stand up and I had to flip them on their side and it caused me not to be able to fit many. However, this one, I actually feel like I'm gonna be able to cram a lot more books into. I can like double stack these rows. So I'll be able to do like double the amount of books. Right now, I have them separated as like my romance and my non-fictions all up on this top row. And then I have like series and fantasies down here. So we have like the Harry Potters, Twilight, the rest of the ACOTAR series down here. These are kind of like more standalone books. Last month, we actually did really well with our TBR. I read 7 of the 8 books I set on my TBR. Oh wait, no. I read 9 of the 10 books I set on my TBR. The only one I didn't get to, which I kind of knew I wasn't going to get to this, was The Awakening from the Zodiac Academy. I'm honestly just going to save this for the fall time because I really don't feel like reading a dark fantasy right now. And I am just like intimidated by the bully romance aspect. I've just heard some even more negative reviews about it than I have before, so I'm hesitant to read that. This month, again, I want to set 10 books as my reading goal. And I want 2 of those to be on Kindle Unlimited because it is nice to not always have to have a physical book in hand. I just find that whenever I have something on my Kindle, I can so easily whip out my Kindle or even whip out my phone to read that I end up getting through things much quicker. So I do want to definitely utilize that. And I think that this month is actually going to be the last month that I handpick my TBR myself. After this month, I think I want to move into doing like either a TBR jar or maybe like a random number generator thing, just because I want to push myself outside of my comfort zone. I think me picking my own TBR means that I do stick to it a lot because I'm kind of choosing whatever I'm in the mood for. But after this month and choosing 8 of these books, I want to push myself to maybe things that I don't own yet that are on my want to read list, or utilizing Kindle Unlimited, or just like forcing myself to read something even if I'm not fully in the mood for it, because like sometimes my mood leaves me astray or it gets me stuck into reading just one genre and I get really bored. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. This will be my last month that I'm actually handpicking these books. The first book that I know for sure I want to read, and I've actually already started it a little bit, is an audiobook through Audible. I'm reading Viola Davis's memoir called Becoming Me. So far, I mean, already it's phenomenal. It's narrated by Viola herself. And I mean, you know how Viola delivers on a monologue. I mean, she delivers passion, and she's already delivering that in this memoir. So I think that's gonna be a highly rated memoir. From there, if I'm going off of that being a nonfiction to choose another nonfiction, I think I'm gonna read The Inspirational Leader by Gifford. I've not heard much about this book. My mom actually got this for me. And this is actually relating to my work. My work is kind of giving us some more time for self-development, but we actually have to be proving that like we're doing things to self-develop. And so I've been reading some self-help books, and that's kind of been how I utilize my self-development time. Since I finished The Gifts of Imperfection last month, I need to pick up another one that kind of like relates and will help me with work. This will kind of be applicable and hopefully give me some good teachings that I can utilize in the future. Now, 2 I know for sure that I want to read probably at the start of the month is I want to read books 3 and 4 of the ACOTAR series. Oh my gosh. If you want my review on books 1 and 2, watch my last reading wrap up. But book 2 ended off so good, on such a good cliffhanger, that I'm so excited to read book 3. She is hefty. She has some weight to her. She is over 700 pages. So this is probably the longest book that I've potentially ever read. I can't remember a book that I've read that's over 700 pages. I know I've read quite a few that are over 500, but I really can't think of anything in that 600 range, and certainly nothing over 700. So this could potentially be the longest book I've ever read. I mean, it's a tome. I've heard that this one's really good. ACOWAR. And then afterwards, there's a very, very short book. It's a series of novellas called A Court of Frost and Starlight. One thing that I'm really excited about for this one is that we get different point of views. Feyre can kind of get on my nerves. especially in book 1. She was getting on my nerves. So I'm excited to have a glimpse into other characters' mindsets. I'm really excited for Reason's point of view. He's definitely my favorite character. Additionally, this one is super short. It's like 229 pages, so that is amazing. I'll be able to get through this one pretty quickly. That takes us to 4 books so far, 2 nonfiction, 2 fantasy. Next, let's kind of go to some rom-coms here and see how we're feeling. One I definitely want to read this month, since we are entering into summertime, is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I've heard, I mean, absolutely amazing things. And Emily Henry's new book just came out this month, Funny Story. I don't want to read that until I get through more of her backlist. At this point, I've only read Book Lovers. I have Beach Read in my hands, and then I also just picked up Happy Place as well. I'd love to get to this if I can. I know that Happy Place and Beach Read are kind of like her most loved books, but I've had Beach Read for longer, so I do want to prioritize this one first. Next, I think I'm gonna continue with another Elin Hildebrand. I just picked this up the other day from Target, and I absolutely loved the Hotel Nantucket. I loved the drama. I loved all the POVs. I thought it was so entertaining. It's such a good summertime fiction. It looks like this one follows 3 women, 3 secrets, and it says 1 long hot summer. Some of Elin Hildebrand's books take on like a mystery aspect. Like there's one of them where I think the maid of honor turns up dead the night before the wedding. And I don't really know if I'm like into that murder thriller aspect, just based off the Hotel Nantucket. I liked just following the characters and getting a glimpse into their life. So that's what caused me to pick up Barefoot, because it kind of seemed similar. You're like following these 3 women, following their lives. It looks like, you know, they have small children, emotional issues, potentially going through a divorce or unhappy marriages, and then how they escape into Nantucket for the summer to kind of reconnect with themselves, with their friends, and maybe some drama that comes along the way. I definitely need to take this 20% off sticker from Target, but I'm gonna share a secret that the Target cashier told me. I thought it was already really cool that like every single book at Target is 20% off. I was like, cool, hell yeah, I'm saving money. Love to see it. But then the cashier, whenever I was checking out, she was like, oh, do you have the Target app? I was like, yeah, I do. And she was like, oh, pull up the Target app. We can scan the barcodes of these. And the app almost always has the books for cheaper than what you'll find them for in store. And if you ask us to price match, we will. So I ended up getting this $18 book for $9. I was so freaking pumped. I was like, basically I'm making money. Like girl math, I'm making money. You told me I just saved $9 on this book. Like I just made $9. So I ended up getting like a couple other books while I was at Target. But if you want to get some books for cheap, try Target online, or if you go in store, have the app downloaded and have them price match, because what a freaking steal. Like I don't know how you could be able to get books for cheaper. That long ramble was all to say that I am adding Barefoot by Elin Hildebrand to my TBR. Similar to Emily Henry, everyone has been talking about Abby Jimenez this month, because Abby Jimenez just released a book called Just for the Summer, and it's actually the 3rd book in the series that starts off with this one. So Part of Your World's number 1, Yours Truly is number 2, and then Just for the Summer is number 3. The only Abby Jimenez book I've read so far is the Happy Ever After playlist. I did enjoy that one. It was a 4 stars for me, and I've heard amazing things about this series, and I believe one of her books like has anxiety representation in the male main character, which I feel like you never see for men. It might be this one, but I could be wrong. I know for sure that she's going into a small town, and it's kind of like a small town romance vibe. And it does look like there's an age gap romance in this one where the woman is older than the man. So that is cool, because usually typically the other way around where the guy's older. So very intrigued. I heard that if you've read Part of Your World and Yours Truly, there's a certain part in Just for the Summer that hits way harder than if you haven't read those books. Takes us to 7, I believe. Yeah, 7. So I need to choose one more. I'm gonna take it easy on myself, and I'm going to choose Love in Other Words, because I want to make sure I read this before the summer ends. And if I don't choose this now, I don't know if by like randomly picking my TBR if I will get to this. I don't believe I've read anything by Christina Lauren. And cool thing about this, which I didn't know, it's actually 2 authors, Christina and Lauren. and they write books together, which is really fun. I read on Goodreads just before I filmed this kind of what this was about, because I still didn't understand what the story was. And it looks like it's childhood friends to strangers to lovers. And you get like a past and present timeline of them in their childhood, kind of them falling in love in their childhood. Then there's some event that takes place where they don't talk for 10 years and now they're reconnecting 10 years later, and we slowly find out why and what happened 10 years ago. I did see on Goodreads that 3 people I follow, so Destiny, Sidwell, Sarah Caroli, and Haley Pham, all rated this 5 stars. So I have very high hopes for this. I don't think I've read a childhood strangers to lovers before, and I think this is like the blueprint for it, and that everyone really loves this book, so I'm excited. Okay, so here are all the physical books that I'm adding to the TBR for this month. Keep in mind that we do also have Viola Davis's audiobook in there as well. And now what I'm going to do is I have a whole list of Kindle Unlimited books that I want to read. So I think I have 15 books on this list. I'll include a screenshot right here of the 15 books on the list. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a number generator for 1 through 15 to choose 2 of these Kindle Unlimited books for me to get to this month. Let me just make sure that there's actually 15 before I do this. Okay, yeah, there is 15. So let me go ahead and get a random number generator. 1 through 15 and hit generate 15. Okay, so let's see what's last on the list. Behind the Net. Okay, another rom-com. It's actually a hockey romance. Probably not what I would have picked for the heat of the summer, but I'm not mad about it. I know there is a sequel to this that everyone really likes as well, but Behind the Net is the first one. I believe this follows a hockey player as well as a figure skater, and kind of how they have like a little rivalry, maybe like slightly enemies to lovers vibe. So Behind the Net is our first Kindle Unlimited one. And number 2. 1. Is this number generator broken? Like, it just shows each end of the spectrum. Okay, whatever. Let's roll with it. Number 1 is Divine Rivals. I'm really excited to read this one. I've heard amazing things, and I absolutely love the cover of this book. I think it's stunning. Again, I think it's kind of like a rival, so like academic rivals to lovers. From what I remember, they both work like at a newspaper, like journalists for this newspaper, and they're competing for the same position, I think. Or they're competing for like a scholarship. I know there's a letter element, and that the female character like kind of writes these letters and they disappear, and somehow they get to the boy, and the boy knows that it's her writing these letters, but she doesn't know that it's him, from what I've heard. I know this is a duology, and that Divine Rivals is rated much higher than the second one, Ruthless Vows. I've like only heard good things about this fantasy, and that like their love is just like super endearing. Okay, so can't complain. I think wrapping that up, we have 2 nonfictions, one of those being a memoir. We have 3 fantasy with A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and Divine Rivals. And then we have like 5 romances slash rom-coms. Okay, actually jokes. We have 4 romances slash rom-coms, and then we have Barefoot by Elin, which is kind of just like literary fiction. Maybe not like the most amount of range, but I do think that it's going to be a good month. A lot of these are highly anticipated for me. So I think we probably have some 5 stars in there. And I already have a reading vlog planned for later this month. I won't tell you what it's going to be, but I will be reading 3 other books in that vlog. So get excited. I'm excited to take you guys along this month while I read these. And let me know what you have set on your TBR for this month. This is where I will love you and leave you, but thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.